Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Code with GoldenCat. Today we'll be talking about dynamic styling in Vue. So let's begin. So here in our starter project we have an index.html that contains a heading tag and a div tag that creates this square here. Then in the app.js file we are simply creating a Vue application and mounting it on an ID app that is here. And then in the style.css we have some custom styles for our web page. Now, suppose if you want to change the background color of our box to say red, then how can we do that? So we can simply use simple HTML and CSS and type in style background color red. Now, if I reload my web page, you can see it changed the background color to red. So this is all good and fine. But suppose if you want to make our page more responsive or more dynamic, let's just say if a user clicks on that box, it should change its value to either white or red. So how can we do that? That's where Vue's dynamic styling comes into play. So for doing that, we can add a click listener on this div. So let me just put them in the separate line to make it more visible. And then I'll create a click listener. Now I'm using @ here, which is a shorthand for writing V on, but you should use @ because in most of the production application, you should be seeing @. Now we'll create a method called clicked here. And then in the app.js file, we'll need to create a data property and a method. So first, we'll create a data property. And then methods. In the method, we'll write the same name, clicked. Now what this method would do is it would change the value of a data property to either true or false. And based on that value, we will decide which background color do we want, whether it's a white one or whether it's a red one. So I'll create a data property here called box selected and set it to false by default. Then in this method, I'll simply type in this dot box selected equal to this dot box selected. Now this not operator, what it does is it changes the value from true to false and false to true. So at line number 9, what we are doing here is if the value of box selected is true, we change it to false, and if it is false, then we change it to true. Now, how can we use that in index.html is we'll make this style as a dynamic style. And then we'll enclose this in curly braces. And in Vue, we'll use a different naming style for the styles. So instead of typing background dash color, we'll use camel casing, that is background color. Now, if box selected is true, then we return back red. Otherwise, we return back white. Now, if I reload this web page, by default, it is white as we expected. But if I click on it, it changes to red. And if I click on it again, it changes back to white. So this is how you can do dynamic inline styling here. Now this looks all well and good, but in a production application, you would be writing too much logic in your index.html and typing in or specifying styles as an inline styles. So we'll be using a class here now. So for that, we'll create another class here. And let's just name this as box selected. And the only property it would have or styling it would have is background color would be set to red. Now, if I go back to my index.html, how I can access that class or make it dynamic is, let's just remove this part. And for accessing that, I'll write colon class equal to, and then I can simply write the expression that we used before, that is box selected. If that is true, then we add this class, that is box selected class. And if it is false, then we don't add anything. Now, if I reload my web page and click on it, you can see it is still working as expected. So this is how you can also add classes dynamically to your code. Now you can also use computed properties for returning back the classes that this box would require. So for that, we'll go to our app.js and then create a computed property, and we'll type it as box class, which would return an object that says box, and what was the name of it? Box selected class, and it would be set to true or false based on box selected. And also I'll need to use this in the index.html. So I can type in box class, and it still works as expected. Now, one final thing that I would like to point out is how you can combine this static class and the dynamic class that we are using in a simple array. So I can remove this class box from here, and then inside of this, I can use square bracket and type in box, which would be the class that is added in all the cases, and then box class as the computed property. Now, if I reload this again and click on it, you can see it is working fine. And we are simply using one class syntax here. So this is pretty much everything about dynamic styling in Vue. If you have any questions related to this, feel free to drop a comment down below. As always, we'll end this video with a quote that says, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever." Thank you for watching and have a great day.